Hi guys, Henry Hard here, and I'm joined tonight with my co-host Jonny Noize, and also we got with us Eddie Tombstone. How's it going, guys?
Going good,
Hey,
man. Good to see you guys. We got the threesome from hell over here now, so we're doing pretty good.
Definitely,
good to see you
definitely.
guys. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Alrighty, so before we get started with tonight's episode, we do want to acknowledge the sad passing of Mr. Ace Frehley. Uh, we want to give out our sincere condolences to the Frehley family and all the Rock soldiers and the Kiss Army soldiers out there that are feeling his loss. You know, may Ace's star shine brightly in the heavens over all of us.
Yeah, it was kind of a shocker, to hear that. And I got my whole trilogy, Kiss trilogy, pictures on the wall. So certainly a big fan, always have been. And so it's a big loss. I mean, you got Ozzy with now Ace. Everybody's moving on in years. It's kind of getting scary. It's getting scary for guys like me. I'm like, holy jeez. But it definitely a big loss to the rock community for sure.
Definitely, definitely. I know that there's a lot of people out there that started picking up the guitar and playing because of
Just because
Ace's
of Ace,
influence.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's
Um,
big influence on my early years, and you know, like everybody, I got my Kiss records, just like the song says, get your Kiss records out. Well,
yeah,
I got
get
them.
your Kiss records out. Yep.
Yes, yep. So why not? You're a pretty big Kiss fan too, I think, Ed.
Who, me?
Oh yeah.
I I only had the greatest hits.
Hey, it's
I
good
like
enough.
hits, but yeah.
It's good enough, man. It's good enough.
Yeah.
I do see that Ace's gift to guitar players because he inspired what Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. I believe I've seen something from the guitarists from Queens of the Stone Age that spoke about it. That he inspired a generation of great guitar players,
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
that's totally respectable.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I said, they the whole Kiss movement or whatever when they hit the stage, they went full out. Whether there was two people there or 10,000, that they did the same show. I heard that some kind of documentary, whatever it was, but I've always heard that they did not hold back, no matter how many people were there. They burnt the place down. It didn't matter who was in the audience. So they gave it 100% plus every show. So you got to give it to them for that. So it's a big influence. I mean, for years and years and years, it's been a huge influence on a lot of people. So, but
Yeah.
I know in 17 when I worked at the House of Blues that I worked in one of Ace Frehley shows at the House of Blues doing security. So I yeah I see him live in concert, but not with Kiss. I seen him. I forget what band he was called himself. Either one of his solo projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, he was amazing still as a guitar player.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
most definitely.
That's
So,
awesome.
um, guys, today's episode is something a little different that we had planned for you, and because it is Halloween and it is coming up on Halloween, and we had decided to kind of go over, tell a bit of a story of an incident that happened uh, out in Texas, and Henry had the idea, so I'm going to let him kind of set the tone for what we're about to do. So just stand by. It's going to be pretty interesting.
All right, guys. So I'm originally from Elmendorf, Texas, which is about 15 miles southeast of San Antonio. And Elmendorf is a little thriving town. There was a man that we're going to talk about, and before we even get started, I want people to know this is a bit of a legend, and it's not for the squeamish or the faint of heart or for young children, because we are going to be talking about actual crimes. But there was this man known as the Alligator Man, and he ran a tavern in Elmendorf, and they used to call him Big Joe. And Big Joe was a World War I veteran. When he come back from World War I, from fighting on the front lines, he became a bootlegger and would sell whiskey off the back of his pickup. Because this was during Prohibition. When Prohibition ended, he decided to go legit, and he opened up a tavern in Elmendorf on Old Corpus Christi Road called the Sociable Inn, which had a special backyard attraction. He had a shallow pool dug in the back of the bar with a 10-foot fence around it, and he would go to part of the San Antonio River that runs back there. When it would rain a lot, the river would swell, and that part of the river was full of alligators. So he would go down there with some of his cronies, and they would rope the alligators by the neck. And the alligator would think that it was in trouble and start doing the death roll. He'd tie the other end of a rope to a really strong tree, and the alligator would rope itself, twist the rope to where it would come out onto the shore. They'd run over, tape the mouth, and throw it in the back of his pickup. As a matter of fact, if I can, I'll bring up a picture right now. But he also had, people would flock to his bar for that type of entertainment. But he also had another reason that the people would go. And that's because he had a lot of attractive barmaids working for him. Well, where this legend has it is some of these barmaids started disappearing. And legend also has it that he murdered some of these barmaids and fed them to the alligators. That is always the big story. And there's a picture of Joe Ball's gators in the back of his pickup. So that's the legend. He murdered the barmaids and he fed them to the alligators to get rid of their remains. Well, that's not, legend is legend, and legend is based on fact. Now it was true. He did have relations with some of those barmaids, and he actually had several relationships going on at once. He would pick these women up out in San Antonio at the Greyhound bus station and, ask them, are you looking for work? And I've got a job for you. And, he'd put them to work as barmaids. So he started a relationship with one named Minnie. And then he started a relationship with one named Dolores, who he would eventually marry. And then there was one, her name was Shotzi. Her first name was Hazel, but they called her Shotzi, which, of course, Shotzi means sweetheart in German. So in 1937, at some point, he took Minnie out to, I think, Port Aransas, and he had an assistant, the guy that, a handyman, Clifton Wheeler, and I think he's the one that actually did the pool, the alligator pool, and other things that Joe Ball needed to have done. And this guy was kind of like Joe Ball's chauffeur too. So they drove out to Port Aransas. They swam in the ocean, and he distracted Minnie, and he shot her in the back of the head, buried her somewhere out there on the beach. And this of course was 1937. 1938, he meets a woman by the name of Dolores, and eventually they did get married. And Dolores had one arm, but the reason that she had one arm is because she lost it in an automobile accident. Of course, like I said, legend has it that one of the alligators turned on her and tore her arm off, but no, that wasn't the case. He confessed to Dolores that he had killed Minnie the year before, and around this time, Shotzi was going to leave the bar because one of her bar regulars promised her a better life. So she was going to leave, and one day she just disappeared. And it turns out that Joe Ball had murdered her out of jealousy, even though he was married. So this was about a year later, so after the first murder. So this was 1938, and Dolores ended up disappearing around the same time that Shotzi did. So what happened is that, the authorities, people were starting to raise questions about these missing people. So the authorities, the sheriff came one day to ask him about this barrel that was in the back of his Joe Ball's sister's barn that was giving off this awful smell. They had gone out to check it the next day, and the barrel was gone. So when they went back to the tavern to interrogate Joe Ball, they were going to take him to San Antonio this time, and he was friends with that sheriff, and he told the sheriff, "Okay, I'll go with you. Let me drink a beer and close the bar down, and I'll go with you. No questions asked." So Joe Ball slammed. Legend has it, he slammed a big mug of beer, and before the sheriff and his deputy could react, he pulled a .45 out of his cash register and turned and shot himself in the heart. And according to those who were there, Joe Ball was dead before he hit the floor. So needless to say, they couldn't interrogate him, but they went and they found Clifton Wheeler.
Yeah.
And Clifton Wheeler took the authorities to somewhere along Corpus Christi Road, on the side of the road, and started digging at the ground, and everybody jumped back because this blood started coming up from the ground. He had buried Shotzi in a shallow grave. And as they went down to Port Aransas with a backhoe or some kind of a big heavy equipment, and they found her buried underneath a dune, a sand dune. And as far as his actual wife, Dolores, it turns out Dolores skipped town on him shortly after that confession, and they found her living live and well in either San Diego or San Francisco, somewhere out in California. So Yeah. As far as Joe Ball feeding human remains of the murdered barmaids, that never happened. They tested they tested everything around the alligator pit, and there was none of the old meat there was came up as being human or human remains, and the alligators that were back there uh, ended up getting donated to the San Antonio Zoo. So the San Antonio Zoo exhibit that the alligators that are there are probably descendants from those alligators from
Wow.
Joe Ball's pool.
Yeah.
So, like I said again, this separating,
Fact,
legend
fact
from
and
fact.
fiction. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, fact or from fiction. It
Yeah.
sounds like that the reality is a lot worse than the a legend because gee,
There's a cold. Yeah. Yeah. And, just touching base on what I have here, some of the stuff, uh, 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 the lore to bring people in to see the alligators was he brought them in during feeding time, and that it said the food usually consists of live cats and dogs. So that's still kind of uh, uh, a little wacky too. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So point to this, it was mostly live cats and dogs. So you have five gators in the pond behind the saloon. Um, and like you had said, there was no human uh, uh, remains or anything found in the gator pit, per se. Now his accomplice, uh, after admitting that, was sentenced to prison. He got arrested and went to prison because
yeah,
uh, he was involved in all that stuff. Actually, he was in prison for only 2 years as for accessory
yeah,
uh, to murder.
Oh wow.
So yeah, go figure that, right? So he only got 2 years for that. So I mean, that's um, 1937. So back then there was definitely there was no DNA. There was just there was hearsay, and if you couldn't find physical evidence, there was no way to really how do there was no CSI in 1937. So you pretty
Yeah.
much
yeah,
get away with murder, which was kind of what you know kind of transpired. But it seems like once he was cornered and had his back up against the wall, he decided, okay, well, I'm going to take my own life. Um, so he did shoot himself, and there was rumor that said he was shot in the heart, and there was also another rumor that he shot himself in the head, but there was no coroner confirmation on exactly where he, according to this anyway, where he shot himself.
yeah.
So, um, but still, he did commit suicide rather than facing up for what he did. He decided to shoot himself. So I got to say, Henry, you live in a hell of a neighborhood. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you, growing up hearing these stories, I mean, because my grandparents would tell me all the time. My grandfather actually said when he was young, around 13 or 14, he would actually go to the sociable inn and kind of hop up on the fence there and look into the alligator pool and see the alligators. He
yeah,
also told me that Joe Ball was a bit of a gambling man, and he was a really good shot with guns and rifles and pistols. I mean, being a World War One veteran, I'd imagine that helped him get through the war. But
sure.
my grandfather said he would win bet after bet with people. He'd sit on the bed of his pickup on the tailgate and tell one of his cronies to flip a 50-cent piece up in the air, and he would shoot it out of the air and
Oh wow. Yeah.
win bet bet after bet. And of course, making the transition to from bootlegger to owning a tavern was just made more sense because he had all his connections, and I'm pretty sure he had plenty of whiskey to go around.
Oh, I'm sure of
Yeah.
that. You know, that's That's some pretty wild stuff right there. So you never know. So I guess the moral of the story is don't hang out by the alligator pit because you can, you know, you can eat by one of these. Much
Yeah.
bigger, probably. This